Sorry, I want to record the class so that maybe you can also have access for a rewatch. Ndidi has joined us. Hello, Ndidi, are you there with us?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So,
How was your day?
Oh, my day is fine. Today is fine.
Thank
So
God.
I was speaking with Mrs. Saidu on. I was laying some foundation on what we've already taught at the public speaking school, which
Okay.
is that there are so many reasons why people don't speak well in public. There are so many reasons why people don't excel in public speaking, even though they have what it takes. I think we lost Ndidi. Mr. Saidu, are you with me?
I'm hearing you.
Okay.
I think the network has thrown her out.
Yes. So the first one, which is the most common one, is stage fright. That is the one that everybody knows. Oh, I'm afraid. Oh, my legs are shaking. Oh, I'm concerned. Oh, I'm sweating. My heart is beating fast. I don't know what is happening to me. So stage fright is the most common, and stage fright is the one that most people can quickly and easily identify with. It is very easy for them to say, oh, I have stage fright. But there are other reasons why people don't do well in public speaking. So those are some of the reasons I want us to explore in this class. Apart from stage fright, one other reason that people don't do well with public speaking is the lack of structure. The fact that they don't even know how to structure their presentation or their ideas. And so they end up beating about the bush, missing out on the most important point, and sometimes saying rubbish. If you notice people that jump from one idea to another unrelated idea, what causes that sometimes is lack of structure. If you notice that someone has something important or something crucial to say, but after they've said it, it doesn't really sit well with the people listening to the person. They don't find it interesting, or they're finding it difficult to understand the person. It's usually, in most cases, boiled down to structure. So knowing and having a structure, a laid down structure for your public speaking, makes it very easy for you to come up with, a presentation. So if you have a presentation, the only thing you need to do is fill in the gaps. If you have a structure, the only thing you need to do is just, fill in the gap. Once you fill in the gaps, you'll be able to have a presentation in the next 10, 15, 30 minutes, or let's say at most an hour time. And that is because you have a structure. A structure is like a map. If you have the map, you know exactly where to follow to get to your destination. But if you don't have a map, you can follow any route. And by the time you follow some kind of routes, you find that you waste a lot of time, waste a lot of resources, and may not still reach your destination. But when you follow a map, it takes the guesswork out of it. It gives you clarity, it gives you stability, it gives you confidence because you know what you're doing. So if you really want to master public speaking beyond overcoming stage fright, you need to learn the different structures, the different formats. Okay, when I say structure, it could also be called a format. How do I structure my idea? I was talking to the advanced clients on Sunday, and we had to learn, if I want to make a sales presentation, how do I structure it? We talked about what you need to put in place. If I want to pitch my idea to a prospective investor, how do I structure it? What comes first? What comes second? How do I make sure that I carry my investor along and be able to convince them? So that also has its own structure. So basically, if you learn structure and you master structure, you'll be able to have great conversations in the future. The number two thing, apart from stage fright, that makes it difficult for people to speak is lack of content. A lot of people don't want to agree with this, but the truth is, at the end of the day, you've got to have something worth saying for you to even start speaking. If you do not have something worth saying, it doesn't make sense to expect the brain to say something. So many, many years ago, I met a mentor of mine in 2006, one of the people that made the greatest impact in my life. I have had mentors before then, but 2006, I met a man. And he literally took me by the hand and showed me how to read books, why you should read books and read the Bible as a Christian. So I had to buy books, I read books, I spent my last card paying for books and training and things like that. And I was doing that because I was much younger then, and I didn't have a platform to speak or something like that. The platforms I had were just minimal platforms. Over time, I realized that I have acquired so much information that if I go to a program and open my mouth without even thinking, there's so much information coming out, so much information coming out, so much information coming out, and people are impressed. But what they don't know is that I'm able to do that because I've been studying, I've been learning, I've been acquiring information. Basically, you can't give what you don't have, especially when it comes to information. What you don't know, you can't teach. What you don't have, you can't share. So some people go to public speaking school looking for how do I structure my presentation, how do I do this, how do I do that? When in the real sense of the issue, what you should be asking yourself is, do I even have something to talk about? Do I even have something to share? Again, when we talk about having something to share, it's not limited to books. It is not limited to books. Books are just the easiest one. Books are the cheapest ones because you can spend 3,000 naira to buy a book and you have this big 200 pages book with just 3,000 naira. But there are other ways that we acquire information that we can share. Take, for instance, experience. Take, for instance, our travels. If you have traveled a whole lot, you have a lot of information to share. Take Mr. Saidu, for instance. I believe you've done a couple of jobs and you're currently working. You must have had, some experience you gathered in your work. Something must have happened at the early stage of your work. Something must have happened at the middle stage of your work, and something is currently happening at your work. If only you could reflect on all those things and also reflect on your own family, reflect on your own life, your upbringing, your religion, your education. If you reflect on all these things, you can actually have a lot of valuable information to share.
Sure.
I don't know if we're following.
I'm with you. Sure.
Okay. So having something worth saying is very crucial in public speaking. Most public speakers, most of the greatest of the great public speakers many years ago did not even have so much of a structure, but they had context. They had something very important to share. So before you speak, ask yourself, do I have something important? Do I have something that bothers me? Do I have something that is so important that I didn't even care about how I look or what I'm wearing, but I'm just focused on, I have to get this message across to people. I have to make sure that people all around the world get access to this message. So some problems, apart from fear, which I've explained that is the common problem is fear, but beside fear, there is also the issue of speech structure. How do I structure my ideas so that it will appeal to the human brain and aid comprehension? And the second one is the one I just talked about now. Are we following?
Yes, I'm with you. Yes.
And the one I just talked about is the issue of content. Do you really have something to say? Do you even have something to say? Do you have something to say? Under content, we can also talk about vocabularies. How much words do you have at your disposal? Because for you to be able to express your thoughts, you need words, and you need to know what words can I use to embellish my thoughts so that when I'm talking, people are easily comprehending what I'm saying. So when you look at these three issues, they are the three dominant challenges that stop people from speaking clearly. If you want to master public speaking, you have to solve these three problems. The first problem, deal with your fear of public speaking. The second problem, learn to structure your presentation. The third problem, have some content. Yes, have content. Now, in the class, we have dealt with dealing with the fear of public speaking. But now I'm going to also share maybe one or two other ideas that you need to be familiar with when it comes to fear of public speaking. The first one is that fear, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, is not the problem. Some people think that the problem is fear. Oh, Why I couldn't speak well is because I was afraid. Why I didn't do so well is because I was afraid. Oh, if only I could get rid of fear, then I'll become a great speaker. In truth, fear is not the enemy because fear is a neutral force. And by neutral force, I mean that fear has no inherent ability for negativity. Just like the machete in your house, just like the knife in your kitchen, the knife, you cannot say the knife is bad because the knife does not have a life of its own. It is how we use the knife that makes the difference. So fear is not the problem. It is how we use the fear that makes the difference. Same thing with love, same thing with anger. It is how we use the anger that makes the difference. Some people got angry and then went and invented or created or innovated a solution. Some people get angry and they give up. Some people get angry and they went to work and they went to improve on themselves just to make sure that the issue did not repeat itself. But some people got angry and went more and more into depression and some of those problems. So while we like to blame fear for our failures, fear is not to be blamed. We are to be blamed. What are you doing with your own fears? What are you doing with your fears? You should never let your fear to control you. Instead, you should learn to manage your fears. That brings me to the second point. You learn to manage your fears because fear is a basic human emotion. It will always be there. You will always be afraid. As long as there are stakes in the particular meeting you are attending, you will definitely feel something. Now, of course, when you do it over and over and over again, the fear will reduce to a very huge extent, to the extent that you might not feel those fear anymore. But that takes time and practice. And that is not something that happens overnight. So you have to learn that your fear is not something you just cast away or throw away or bind away. It is something that you have to embrace and manage. The third thing I want to say about fear is that when it comes to fear, you can channel your fear, okay? You can change your fear. You can improve on your fear. What does that mean? It means instead of letting fear to push me out of the stage, I will let fear to push me into the stage. So I will rechannel my fear. Footballers do this when they come to the pitch, they run around, they warm up, they run around, they warm up. What they are doing, they are trying to turn the pressure into a force that will give them the strength to play. So you don't go to the pitch, see your opponent, and then go and fold yourself in one place like that. If you try that, the fear will cripple you, the fear will eat you up. So every time you feel fear or you have a sense of being afraid, think of how can I use this fear to my advantage? How can I convert this fear into some form of energy? And there are a few things you can do to do that. The first one is to put the fear in proper perspective. Okay? Once you put your fear in proper perspective, it will empower you. There are two forms of perspective. There are empowering perspective and there are disempowering perspective. If you think of your fear in an empowering perspective, it will empower you. You could use your fear to study a little more. You could use your fear to prepare more than others. You could use your fear to consult with as many people as necessary before doing that thing. In that case, you have allowed the fear to push you to do something positive and to build on yourself. But when you begin to allow the fear to weaken you, to discourage you, not to allow you to do anything, you see now, that is where the problem comes. So convert your fear. Another way you can convert your fear is to use, confessions, use words, affirmations, change your vocabulary. Instead of saying, I am afraid, why don't you say, I am excited? Trust me, the human nervous system cannot distinguish between positive and negative emotion. It is how you interpret the events of your life that determines how the nervous system responds to it. If you interpret it as a threat, the nervous system will feel threatened and will start vibrating and shaking. If you interpret it as a pleasure, the nervous system will also receive that. That is why if somebody points a fake gun on you and you don't know the person, you will likely faint or even feel bad before you realize it's a fake gun. That's because the nervous system doesn't know the difference between a fake gun and a play gun. It depends if a fake gun and a real one. It depends on what the signal that you send to the nervous system based on your own interpretation. So that is why something that is a threat to one person is not a threat to the other person, because the way this person is looking at it is different from the way that other person is looking at it. So essentially, you must learn to use your words to reinterpret the situation. You use your words to change how you feel about it. And that comes when you open your mouth and instead of calling it fears or calling it anxiety, you call it something different, something like excitement. I feel excited. I feel this rush of energy. I feel this rush of energy instead of calling it fear. The moment you call it a rush of energy, the brain, the nervous system, all of these things begin to interpret that this is not a bad thing, this is a good thing. So if you want to deal with fear, remember the two things I just talked about. Who can remind me the first thing I talked about?
The first one, I think you mentioned that fear itself is a function of how we and where we channel it. Whether are we using it to empower ourselves, or are we using it to disempower ourselves?
Okay.
And you also went further to mention that sometimes the interpretation we give to situations determine how we react to how the brain translates it.
Okay.
I see that too. Really, it's real to me, because I've had several instances that the thought of going on stage tends to petrify me.
Okay.
I think I watched a video where the guy said, "This is me about doing something exciting, something that will change my state. So I'm anxious, but I can make it happen." And then deep and start talking. When you say the first 2 or 3 lines, everything begins to fall in place. But it's not that the fear has walked away; it's still there. But this time around, yeah, it's still there. And it still holds me, because I have a lot of times going to
Okay.
go over the 37 seconds phase of the presentation. Then I know how to stabilize. Then I keep moving from there. So that's.
Okay, that is great. That is great. What did you pick from what I shared, please? I hope she has not run away.
No, she's there. I can see her. Ndidi.
Maybe she went to attend to something.
I don't know, but she's online. She's online. But she's muted.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. What I learned from what you just presented now is that we should equip ourselves.
Okay.
Apart from, because another thing I understand is when you are not ready, fear also creeping.
Okay.
Because when you're ready, when you have content, you're speaking with confidence because you know it.
Yes. Okay, I agree with that. Now, why content will not automatically make you 100% confident? Content will give you some form of confidence. What I'm saying is that there is a confidence that comes from content. There's a level of confidence that comes from content.
Yeah.
Just the same way I used to say, there's a level of confidence that comes from competence. The fact that I know this, I've done it, I can do it alone can give you a very huge level of confidence on its own. Although somebody can still know how to do it, but some reasons still feel afraid. But knowing it will automatically boost your confidence to some level, at least because you know that you know it, right? So that is for stage fright. The best way to deal with stage fright is in two forms. Number one, get training. Number two, get exposure. And then, of course, number three, repeat it with the help of a coach. Get training, get exposure, repeat it with the help of a coach. That's as easy and as simple as it gets. Are we following?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, I observe that whenever I have major presentations,
Okay.
and I practice again and again and again, actually, if I close my eyes, I can see the slides roll by. It gives me, it tends to reduce the level of fear or anxiety that I feel before going on stage.
Sure.
Again
Sure.
and again and again, and I have the material in my mind's eye that it's like it's a part of me. The
Yes.
moment they ask any question they are going to ask, you know, the slide is on. You just
Mhm.
go to the slide. And so I think another thing again is that the level of our preparedness kind of is key. You also
It is
boost our
key.
confidence to make so yeah.
It is key. So that's why I said, so that all these things has to do with the fear aspect of this. Okay, if you want to deal with the fear, get coaching, because coaching will provide you with some basic information, essential information you need to be able to speak. So get coaching. The second thing is to practice in front of people. Now, the misunderstanding people have with practice is they think our idea of practice means you have to get it right all the time. So those who don't have something to say, or those who are not prepared enough, run away from the academy because they are not prepared. That is counterintuitive. That's not how it's supposed to be, because our goal exposing you on stage is not really for you to deliver your best speech. It's very hard for you to deliver your best speech while undergoing the training. Okay? Our goal is to expose you to the stage, to get you comfortable with coming up on the stage. So whether or not you are not prepared, you should really never dodge presentation times, because the goal is to expose you on stage, make you comfortable by constantly putting you on stage. Of course, you won't do that in the real world. In the real world, if you're not prepared, you may not really want to go up there. Why? Because the stakes are high. In the real world, if you mess up, it lives with you. The videos are there. But in our public speaking training, even if you make a mistake, even if you didn't do it right, nobody knows, because your session will come and go, and how many people are sitting there. And most importantly, you end up proving to yourself that you can do this even if you're not prepared. And then the confidence will begin to come in the more you expose yourself to the stage, the more you expose yourself and speaking in front of people, you begin to notice different changes. The goal, the primary objective of our program is to get you comfortable with people on stage. We don't teach you content, we teach you other techniques and other tactics you can use for public speaking. But the most important goal is to get you comfortable speaking in front of people. That's very critical. Now, outside fear, the next thing is the speech structure, which is what I believe we've talked about. I've watched your presentation. I've watched this presentation on the speech structure, where you have to now arrange your speech. And we said we have three major angles or three major blocks of every speech. So we drew a triangle that we call the Fordyce triangle that we use to explain those things. And we said the first side of the angle from the left is the opening. The opening is also known as the introduction. So basically, this is where you open your speech or you introduce your speech. Then at the narrow top of the triangle, we now have what we call the body. The body is where you deliver the actual presentation that you prepared, basically by sharing the ideas that your speech embodies, by sharing the ideas and explaining the ideas with examples, stories, facts, and statistics That forms a part of the body. In religious circle, we call this the message. In writing, we call it the content. In public speaking, we call it the discourse or discussion. So that takes up most part of your presentation because that is the core aspect of your presentation. Now, at the third level, we now have the close. The close. That is the down of the triangle by the right. Is the close. The close, we said that we have three dominant closes, or the three common closes for most speeches around the world. The first one is of summary. In summary, you reiterate your point, you repeat your point without explaining them in details because you have explained them in details in the body. And then I also said we have the conclusion. Conclusion is just when you conclude, when you tell us your final opinion, your final stance on the subject matter. What is your conclusion? What do you have to say? And then the last one is the recommendation. A recommendation is when you make a recommendation. You say, okay, this is what I recommend. We should take this course of action in order to salvage the situation. So essentially, you can either summarize, summarize, conclude, or recommend or make recommendations. There are times that people can combine the two. Somebody can still summarize and then make recommendation, or somebody can conclude and still make recommendation. So we're not saying you must choose one, but you have to know that you have options, and sometimes you can go with just one or two. Now, talking about opening, we said how you open your speech is very critical. How you open your speech is very important because how you open your speech could determine people's perception of you, whether they should stay behind or not. People can be quick to judge. So if your speech is not started in a very interesting way, a lot of people are going to lose interest. And by the end of the day, you become mentally discouraged because of the kind of feedback you're getting from members of the audience. So you have to understand that in public speaking, you have to start strong. You have to start strong. It's very crucial that you start strong. Start in a very powerful way. And then, of course, move to the body with the powerful information. And then at the close, also close with powerful stuff. So we said, what is the structure of my introduction? How do I introduce myself and my topic to the audience using a globally recognized standard? Are we still together?
Yeah.
Did are you with me?
Yes.
It looks like I'm too fast. Am I?
No, the pace is fine for me.
Okay. So we now say there are 5 globally recognized ways to open your speech. Are we saying these are the only ways to open your speech? No, of course. It can't be the only way. There are so many other ways. But for us, these ones are easier. You can use them across industries, across board. So I'm always looking out for global standard or global practice, global standard practice. Because that is what we want to teach. That's what we want to share. We don't know where you'll be speaking. So we have to teach you the most important parts. So the 5 ways to open your speech, we said number 1, you have to greet, or what we call salutation. This is where you say good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good day, or hello, or hi, hello everyone. So that's the first thing to do. The second thing to do is, of course, to have a captivating opening. Captivating opening, CO, captivating opening. So essentially, you want to say or do something that will quickly wake up the audience. It could be icebreakers, or it could be a story, or it could be a question, or it could be a drama, or it could be a startling fact, surprising fact. So you don't want to use a boring fact. You can't come and say, do you know that men are physically stronger than women? That is not any surprising. That is already a common fact. What is not common is, do you know that women are physically stronger than men? Now, you can get the attention of some people because even some women will disagree with you. So, I've given you different options: icebreakers, stories, statistics or studies, questions, quotations, questions, quotations, drama. So these are the different options available to you. It is left for you to decide which one will work for you, depending on the occasion you are going to. There are some occasions that, drama will work better. There are some occasions that startling facts will be much better. There are some occasions that questions or quotations will be much better. So you have to find the one that works for you. You have to find the one that fits the occasion. You have to find the one that you can use. And for advanced speakers, sometimes we use multiple. That means we can combine question with quotation and still tell a story. Or we can tell a story, back it up with the statistics and still give you a quotation before we now do the third thing. And what is the third thing? The third thing is your full name. Your full name. This is where you state your full name. Then we come to the fourth thing. The fourth thing is your brief background information. What does that mean? It simply means you have to have the background information that proves that you are qualified to speak on the subject matter. So we basically want to know if and what qualifies you to speak on the subject matter. If you're talking about health, we want to know, are you a medical practitioner? Are you a medical practitioner? If you're talking about business, we want to know, how many businesses do you run? Do you own businesses? How much have you made? If you're talking about money, financial investment, we want to know, how much investment do you have for yourself? Which organization do you work for? How did you arrive at the point where you feel that you are qualified to teach on the subject? If you're talking about business, do you have business? If you're talking about gender equality, why are you talking about gender equality? Are you an advocate, a human rights activist? Or are you just somebody who is passionate about gender equality in our world? So at the end of the day, you have to justify what qualifies you to speak on a subject. And how you do that is by your BBI, brief background information. How brief can it be? As brief as your time permits. If you have an hour, you can take as much as 15 minutes or even 10 minutes if you want. If you have 8 minutes like we give you at the academy, of course, now you have to limit it. Now you have to limit it to, say, 1 minute or 1 minute, 30 seconds. So, captivating opening, full name, brief background information, and the last thing in the introduction is your topic. So this is where you say, my topic today is, or I'm here today to talk about or to speak on. You now mention the topic. Are we still together?
Yes.
So that is it for the opening. So what are the elements of the opening, if you can remember?
This one, I'm going to come back to this.
Sorry?
This one, you have told all this. Again, greeting the audience, and then captivating opening.
Okay.
And full name.
Okay.
BBI, and then the topic.
And then the topic. Correct. Then when we go into the body contains only two primary elements. Basically, we're assuming that the speech is a short speech and it's using global standards. So that's why I said basically, there are two elements. The first is the foundational information. What is this foundational information? This is the information that lays the foundation for your conversation or for your discussion. So sometimes it could be the why you choose to speak on the subject matter. Sometimes the foundation could be, why did I choose to talk about this? Let's say you speak about money. Foundation, why is this so important? Before you start talking about the actual stuff or going into your points and ideas, we talk about the foundation. So we have foundation and then we have points or ideas. The points or ideas are the things you want to talk about, the whole thing you want to say, the point you want to make. But before you make that point, remember you have to lay a foundation. And sometimes laying a foundation could be definition of terms. I want to define certain terms for you so that we're on the same page. Or it could be explanation, or it could be why. It could be me telling you why this topic or why this subject is very important before moving into the subject. Sometimes it could also be providing foundational understanding of the subject matter before diving into it. So there are some subjects that before you go deep into them, you need to lay some foundation. You need to create some level of familiarity, understanding, comprehension with the audience before you move into the bone of contention or the bigger issues. So that's for the body. Now we move over to the conclusion. One thing you have to note about the conclusion is that at this point you need to close. So you may have to do a summary, or you can do a recommendation, or you can do a conclusion. Now, there are times that people can close using other elements like quotations. If you have ever watched some speech where somebody said, I would like to close with this quotation, that is also very cool. Some people close with stories. I would like to tell you a story and I will close. Okay? So there are other types of close, but we choose to use the common standard types of close, the one that you either summarize or you conclude and you make recommendations. Are we still together?
Yes, sir, yeah.
So this is the essential rundown of the first course that we had on public speaking. This is a rundown of the course we have on public speaking. So my assignment to you now, since you have done this before, is to prepare a full-blown speech. By full-blown, I mean a complete that has introduction, body, and close. But this is what I want you to do, and I hope you take notes. The captivating opening, you will use complex captivating opening. That means you cannot use just one captivating opening. You have to use one or two or three captivating openings. So you choose your topic, you prepare for the speech you want to give, you send me the topic for approval, and I would like to have your speech probably recorded and shared with me. So you can record it, upload it somewhere, and share the link. You can upload on YouTube, you can upload on Instagram, and then share it with me. And I'll go there and watch and see how much you're able to accomplish what we have taught. So any questions?
So we'll send the topic for approval, right?
Yes. Okay. But I'm giving you the freedom to choose your topic. Any topic you choose, let it be something that at least there'll be story, one story at least. Okay. Or have a story for any topic you eventually choose.
Okay.
So did you follow that?
Yes.
So now the difference is you're using multiple captivating openings, not just one. And then you record it. I would like to have it before or on Friday.
Hey.
Yes. Remember, there is no stake. If it is on YouTube, you can make the video private so other people will not see it. Only the people you share the link with can see it. So get up to your phone and do the production. You upload, and then you share the link with me on or before Friday. That's 3 days. That's a lot of time, did it? 3 days is too much.
It's not too much. Go to work in the morning and come back in the evening. It's okay.
You can do it at work.
At work. My office is not like that.
Okay, it's not like that. Okay, so
Mm,
you can do it in the night at the comfort of your house.
no
That's how
problem. Let's
we'll run
see.
with it.
Yes.
We'll run with it because the only way, no pain, no gain.
Sure, sure. So our next session will probably be by today is Tuesday, maybe Friday. That's Friday night.
Okay.
Okay, Friday night. It's okay.
Yes, because I think we have leadership program. Wait, when do we have our leadership program? Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday and Friday.
That one. How do I? Okay. Okay. We register online, right?
Just by making payments. Hello?
Is it not the
Can you
2
hear
days
me?
leadership program?
It's actually 4 days.
Okay, 4 days.
Yes. And it's a paid event.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it so I can forward it to you. It's holding on Wednesday and Friday of this week, and then next week, Tuesday and Thursday. So that means we'll have to do our own evening session on Saturday. Oh, Saturday. Thursday, I have too many sessions on Thursday. Tomorrow is for leadership program. Maybe we'll do either Thursday or Saturday, but I'll conclude with you, Mrs. Aidu.
Okay.
Let's have the detail.
Sir?
Okay, for the leadership stuff, it's on for that. It's on.
I just sent it to you on WhatsApp now.
Okay, let me check.
I sent it to the two on WhatsApp.
So we
But the date is on the
Okay.
flyer.
Developing the leader
Within you, yes.
within you.
So we're doing 1st and 8th, then 7 and 9 December.
There's no accounting.
Yes, I'll send the account details now.
Okay.
It's in the evening, 8 to 9:30.
8 to 9:30. Okay.
See you on Thursday or Saturday.
Yes, but we're going to see.
All right. Thank you very much for coming.
See on first now. We'll see on first. Okay. Wednesday. That's tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow. Hello? Indeed, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Tomorrow night is the start.
Yeah.
Okay, no wahala now. All the best. Good. Bye, Dr. Mickey, and indeed, bye.
Bye, Dr. Mickey. Good night. Hello. Eh?